8. Yesterday, we started the class yesterday, although the network was not too okay due to the weather. Yesterday, we discussed international politics in Asia from World War II to present. We also discussed the decline of the European colonial order in Southeast Asia. We discussed Asia before the colonization process, the colonization of Asia. We also discussed Japan after the World War II. Under this, we discussed return to the international community, like Japan. We discussed the 1995 system. We discussed from reparation to ODA. We also discussed the strains in the U.S. Center International Order. Also, yesterday, we discussed the Cold War alliances, American military alliances. We also discussed the CETO meeting in Manila, just as we discussed Baghdad part of 1955 and the Central Treaty Organization, the CENTO. We also discussed British military alliance in Asia. So today, we'll be discussing the non-alignment, the role of ASEAN, that is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Under this, we will be discussing the establishment of ASEAN, the objective of ASEAN, organizational structure of ASEAN. We also discuss the ASEAN and the neutrality policy, non-intervention policy, and constructive engagement of ASEAN. We will discuss Southeast nuclear weapons free zone. We will discuss confidence building measure. We will discuss ASEAN confidence building measure, track 1 and 2. ASEAN political cooperation. We will discuss declaration of ASEAN Concord. We will also discuss South Asian Treaty of cooperation, Strait of Malacca cooperation, the strategy of ASEAN, ASEAN economic cooperation, ASEAN free trade area. We also discuss ASEAN investment area, AIA, East Asia Economic Caucus, Asian social cooperation, education, sea game, amnesty for illegal immigrants. We also discuss Asian and the superpower. So today, let's quickly start because of our time. The non-alignment, okay, let's discuss the introductory level. After the World War II, the international structure had undergone an alteration whereby the international structure was dominated by the superpower with a system called bipolar. D.P. Carlisle, 1996, page 419. This structural change was the result of power competition between the United States and Soviet Union. The power competition produced the formation of Ideology Pact, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and Warsaw Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation and Mutual Assistance, known as Warsaw. At the international level, the development of international system had affected other countries as well as countries in the Southeast Asia. Superpower stratagem and competition in international level have influenced Southeast Asia. Asians countries to constantly conform to current demand to ensure national security. This is because in the 1950s and 60s, a good number of C countries were newly born after achieving independence from colonization. Because the C countries were very young, this country faced tremendous international political instability, ethnic conflict, unity and problem, and weak security and defense system. That is according to Mohammed Ayoub, that is 1995, chapter 5. This problem have alerted and motivated C to consider a formation of a state or regional organization that can be an alternative for regional peace foundation. Regionalism is an advance over traditional concept of absolute state sovereignty. Regionalism is in contemporary form is largely a post-war phenomenon. When it began with formation of regional military alliance, mostly in the context of bipolar rivalry, gradually it has acquire the context of regional economic cooperation. The formation process of Southeast Asia regionalism is a process of understanding and cooperation between countries in the region, which were formed in the 1950s and the 60s. The main factor which became a motivator to regionalism formation was derived from the stability of regional politics, peace objective, regional conflict solution, security guarantee, economic development, and cooperation between the countries, and acts jointly, especially issues relating to regionalism. The process involves organization formation, which acted as an organization from the combination between regional countries in demonstrating opinion, proposal, representative approaches, and stance of member country. The formation of regionalism is influenced by the understanding between countries. Understanding is a psychological factor which involves awareness between countries to unite, cooperate, and mutual respect each country in the region. Furthermore, the formation of a regionalism organization can be a platform for problem solving between countries. Therefore, the border conflict, sovereignty, land invasion, island conflicts, and other regional problems are solvable through the formation of a regional organization. So, through the establishment of regional organization, such security threats from outside could be overcome through the formulation of joint policy. Geographically factors are among the factors that form a regionalism process, which is called the unification and cooperation process between the countries. Okay. Now let's look at the establishment of the ASEAN, that is Association of Southeast Asia Nation. The Southeast Asia Nation at the 1915 and 60s, the Southeast Asian region comprises of very young countries in terms of national development or nation building. Tun Dr. Matar, I don't say that security is not just a matter of military capability. National security is inseparable from political stability, economic success, and social harmony. Without this, all the guns in the world cannot prevent a country from being overcome by its enemy. Without ambition can be fulfilled, sometimes without firing a church. According to that is Abdul Razak Abdullah Baginda, 1919, page 39. It relates to the maturity of this country in managing a country and creating unity among Southeast Asia countries. Many the sea countries we are still considered as the infantry since most achieved independence around 1915 and 60. As such, the sea countries were concentrating more on strengthening internal security and economic development. The idea of establishing ASEAN idea starts with a few bilateral and multilateral agreements. This idea starting with a Southeast Asia Friendship and Economic Treaty, CFET. After Tukun Abdul Rahman official visit to Philippines in January 1959. After Tukun Abdul Rahman official visit to in 1959, the idea of establishing CFET, even though it is slightly a narrow organization which is limited to economic, trade, and education. However, this idea has inspired the making of ASEAN. However, the establishment of CFET experienced failure due to disagreement of several Southeast Asia countries. The idea, on the other hand, produced a positive impact of the establishment of regional organization, where on the 31st of July 1961, Association of Southeast Asia was set up and involved the union of three countries, Malaya, Thailand, and Philippines. The purpose and objective of founding ASA is to create peace and regional stability. At the same time, as I aim to cultivate cooperation in the field of economic, social science, and culture, as well as to provide training facility and research for the benefit of everybody. ASA too experienced failure due to the conflicts and objection between countries, especially between Malaya and Philippines. Philippines has withdrawn from ASA for objecting Malaya proposals to include and claiming Sabah into Malaysia. In the early stage, ASEAN had 5 members from Southeast Asia, including Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Philippines. Its membership increased with the addition of Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Mahana in between the 1980s and 1990. Brunei entered ASEAN in 1984 following its independence from British. During the Cold War, Indochina, countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos could not join ASEAN due to power competition and internal problems. So let's look at the objective of ASEAN. ASEAN is not a military part. On the other hand, it is a regional organization with a target of establish economic cooperation, politics, and social culture. Through ASEAN establishment in prioritizes economic growth and development, social and cultural of the country of Southeast Asia. Apart from that, Asia tries to protect mutual interests and create regional solidarity as well as promoting regional peace and stability. ASEAN to aim to encourage peace and political stability, founded by the principle of United Nations (UN), designed fostering cooperation and close relationship between nations and other organizations. Therefore, ASEAN members should comply to the rules and regulations when building regional ties and observe the UN Charter. Furthermore, ASEAN aims to promote a more effective cooperation in the industrial and agricultural field, expand moreover, strengthening regional, ASEAN encourage a more effective cooperation in the matter pertaining to economic, social, cultural, technical, science, and through establishment of ASEAN assistance in terms of training and research, especially in education, professional, technical, and administration, can be channeled. Though ASEAN is more effective cooperation in the sector of agriculture, industry, trade, expansion, including study on society and regional culture, can be developed. This cooperation aims to upgrade a society standard of living and make region a developed and competitive region. So let's look at the organization structure of ASEAN. The second conference of ASEAN ministry meeting in Kuala Lumpur in 1971 has produced the Kuala Lumpur Declaration. Declaration of the Kuala Lumpur Declaration. 1. ASEAN agreed to the implementation of neutral policy in Southeast Asia. ASEAN will assist all superpowers to avoid their interferences in the region. Number 2, ASEAN want to create a peaceful, free, and neutrality in Southeast Asia, or known as SOFAN. So also the structure uses since 1967 until 1976 was unstable and ineffective. During the phase, the ASEAN community comprises of 4 key components. 1. ASEAN ministerial meeting, ASEAN standing committee, the ad hoc and fees committee, just as ASEAN secretary member. ASEAN ministerial meeting is held once in a year, and each country will host ASEAN general meeting. The meeting is highest ASEAN meeting in determining policy and stances. ASEAN permanent member or standing committee consists of foreign ministers or ambassadors from each country member. The standing committee are responsible in managing and planning the main meeting, that's the ASEAN ministerial meeting. The secretary members are responsible for preparing the report, proposal, and issues to respective minister. The secretary are assisted by the ad hoc and fees committee appointed to ensure the report, proposal, and issues are prepared, precise, and concise. Let's also look at the essence and the neutrality policy. The non-interference policy has become the principal and prime foundation of ASEAN based on the foundation document of ASEAN in the Bangkok Declaration of 1967, followed by Kuala Lumpur Declaration of 1971, producing SOFAN and further reinforced with the Cooperation and Friendship Treaty in 1976. Bangkok Declaration 1967 pointed out that desire to form a cooperation between country members are predicated on the spirit of ASEAN partnership to preserve peace and stability through honoring the principle of UN Charter and the zone of peace, free, and neutrality Declaration, which is SOPA in 1970, was acknowledged and agreed by all countries, large and small. The principle is recognized to be important in leading a country free out from outside interference. This is because external intervention can influence the freedom, independence, sovereignty, and standpoint of C country. Article 2 of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, which is known as CAC, was enacted in Bali Conference in 1976. It stated the concept of Asian unity became therefore the primary way of demonstrating their resilience in the face of external threat. So, and so on and so forth. So let's also discuss the intervention policy, the non-intervention policy, and constructive engagement of ASEAN. Among the basic principles of ASEAN utilizing is to hold the relationship between country members, is the non-intervention policy in internal affairs of a respective country. In fact, the principle is major content in major important documents of ASEAN, such as the Zone of Peace, Free and Neutrality Declaration, so far see in the year 1971, and Treaty of Amity and Cooperation, TAC, of Southeast Asia in year 1976. The principle of SOPA were announced by Foreign Minister of ASEAN during the Kuala Lumpur Declaration on 27th of November 1971. SOPA's main purpose is to create peace and political stability in Southeast Asia and to avoid political and military intervention from superpowers like the United States, China, Russia, and in the region. With the agreement, country members should not be involved in the political arena of superpower. The concept of the establishment is to hope to create a friendship with every country in the world, regardless of political ideology, so that peace and security in this region is further guaranteed. So let's also look at the South Asian nuclear weapon, which is known as a free zone, which is known as CWFZ. So ASEAN has constantly strive to enhance peace stability in the region. Thus, the CWFZ agreement, known in South Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone, was signed by 10 ASEAN head of state in 1995, according to Nasruddin Mohammed, in page 104. The central concept is an agreement to avoid member country of possessing, placing, and utilizing nuclear weapons. This concept merely ensures that nuclear energy will be employed for peaceful purposes. Asian countries are prohibited of manufacturing, transporting, and using nuclear weapons. In other words, Asian use CWFZ to reject any deployment, preservation, and possession of nuclear weapons by any member country. Okay, the confidence building measure. This is another one. Diplomacy is a policy based on negotiation between countries or international entity to achieve a specific objective. It is a bilateral interaction in the international arena, method and skill to execute a negotiation, preventing diplomacy concerned with the effort in settling potential conflicts of war. This action should be taken to prevent war, and the most vital action during this stage is confidence building measure. Okay, so Israel has revealed that CBM was first used during the Cold War between the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. It was the effect of the weapon control and the conflict setting failure without war. So let's look at the ASEAN confidence building measure track 1 and 2. The CBM model conflicts influenced by Western values are difficult to be applied and accepted by CEA country.